and welcome to those in the chamber and those joining us online for the March Council meeting. I'm going to call upon Deputy Mayor Councillor Cowan to do the acknowledgement of country.
Thank you. The Wodonga Council acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first peoples of the country. We also acknowledge them as traditional owners and custodians across various lands. We pay our respect to their ancestors, elders, children and young people. We acknowledge the strength and resilience of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and recognise their continuous connections to lands, waters and communities across the country.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Agenda item 2 is apologies, request and leave of absence, request to attend by electronic means. There are none known at this time. Agenda item 3 is the good governance pledge. I invite Councillor Seymour to speak.
Wodonga councillors have committed to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the municipal community, abide by the Model Councillor Code of Conduct and uphold the standards of conduct set out in the Model Councillor Code of Conduct, faithfully and impartially carry out and exercise the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in the office of councillor under the Local Government Act 2020 and any other act to the best of their skill and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Seymour. Agenda item 4 is declaration by councillors of any conflict of interest. Are there any?
Yes, Mr Mayor. I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on the confidential business item 15.2 and the nature of the conflict is general.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. That's noted, and you'll be invited to leave the chamber on that item. Agenda item 5 is the confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting. There's a recommendation before us. Could I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Aldridge and a seconder. Councillor Hall. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Agenda item 6 is question time, and I understand there are 2 questions. CEO, you'll speak to those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We have 2 questions submitted prior to the meeting, and I'll read the question and the council response for those 2. First question is, in August 2024, Dr Jennifer Kent, together with other researchers and academics, published an open letter requesting urban speed limits across the nation be reduced to 30 kilometres an hour. Will Wodonga Council formally acknowledge Dr Kent's letter in its next council meeting? Our response is thank you for your question on the important topic of urban speed limits and road trauma. Council's draft integrated transport strategy at theme 3, people-centred cities, recognises the benefits of reduced vehicle speeds on outcomes of pedestrian injuries. Survival rates can be as high as 90% when a vehicle speed is regulated to 30 kilometres per hour. The draft integrated transport strategy is expected to be presented to Council in the next quarter. Subject to the support of Council, it would be placed on public exhibition and the community feedback would inform the adopted strategy, including urban speed limits. The second question received is, what is the Council's plans and what are they doing in regards to major increase in homelessness due to $5,000 fee per year from the Victorian Government for investment properties? Our response, thank you for your question on the important topic of homelessness. The impact of the state tax changes on the supply of investment property is being monitored by various stakeholder groups. While not a housing provider, Council recognises that there are a range of contributing factors and is working to improve this situation by prioritising planning permits and compliance certificates for Homes Victoria and other social housing providers to expedite the creation of new housing, developing a residential development framework plan that will promote a wider range of housing options and increase density in key areas, working with the Department of Transport and Planning on the Plan for Victoria housing targets, which aims to deliver 15,200 new homes in Wodonga by 2051. Council also works with diverse agencies across the city in the promotion of immediate relief services through production of a guide, provision of dry access program at the Wodonga Sports and Leisure Centre, and provision of Albury Wodonga food share vouchers at Haifa.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, CEO. Agenda item 7 is petitions. I understand there are none. And agenda item 8 is delegates' reports, of which again there are none, which now leads us then to reports for determination. Agenda item 9. 9.1 is the Wodonga 2050 Community Vision, which follows an agenda item of the previous council meeting, the purpose of which is to remove any perceived ambiguity in the previous resolution. There's a recommendation before us, and also I think an alternative recommendation has been provided. I invite a councillor to move a motion.
Just on the yellow pages.
Are you suggesting I move the motion on yellow?
I've drafted what you requested today. Yep.
Thank you. Look, I would like to move to suspend standing orders.
Motion on the books before you suspend.
Okay, can I have a question regarding the motion you have drafted?
I can move the motion to get, so we get suspended orders.
Yeah.
So I move that the following council resolution that meeting on 24th and 25th regarding the 2050 Wodonga Community Vision, the council clarifies the adoption as follows. 1, that the Wodonga 2050 Community Vision as attached be adopted, and 2, that the Wodonga 2050 Community Vision feedback reports for stages 2 to 5 as attached be adopted and be made available and be considered equally along with the Wodonga Community Vision in drafting and amending future strategic documents and policy.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Knight. Could I have a seconder for that? Councillor Cowan, thank you.
Suspend standing orders.
All those in favour?
Aren't we going to suspend standing orders?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, sorry. In relation to suspending standing orders, all those in favour? It's unanimous, thank you. Standing orders suspended. Councillor Quilty.
Thank you. Look, I apologise, I did not. We did have an extensive discussion during the briefing of what we were going to put on the agenda, and I apologise I didn't bring it up then. I printed out what we adopted in February, and it's just not clear to me, and I think we need to clarify this publicly, what it means that we, in this motion that's drafted for us, that council clarifies the adoption as follows. Because we have 3 items in February. We acknowledge the community feedback on the draft Wodonga Community Vision. Then we list the 2050 Community Vision and various reports that we adopt. And then we clarify that we're going to treat the above in line with our engagement policy. So 3 components. This alternative motion only deals with the second point from the February motion. What does it mean? Does it mean that this motion replaces February motion, or that we just clarify part 2 of February motion?
Through the Chair, Mr. Mayor, through to Councillor Quilty. Yes, so the original motion in February that went through is considered acted upon, and this is just clarifying the content around the adoption, while still duplicating some of those bits that went through in the February meeting.
Right, so is it going to be a problem that we have 2 motions related to the same issue?
No, they're consistent, so that's okay. Yep, that's
okay. Okay. So, what do councillors think, and what do movers and mover and the seconder think about clarifying it and going that following council resolution at the meeting on 24th of February 2025 regarding the 2050 Wodonga Community Vision, the council clarifies the adoption of point 2 of the resolution on the 24th of February as follows, and then just as the mover. So basically adding clarifies the adoption of point 2 of the resolution.
Point 1 and point 2.
No, point one is about receiving the community feedback when we displayed the 2050 vision.
Are we replacing that? Isn't that what we're doing? Replacing those, or are we adding them to it?
CEO? Do you want to
I'm
respond to that
just
question?
going back to the resolution, sorry.
Well, this is one, the council
Yeah.
considers the community feedback received during the public exhibition of the draft community vision.
Well, I suppose we could, but it's important that
And then
we
I
have, because we displayed it during the,
Replacing that for Wodonga.
after the draft was produced.
2050. The recommendations there, and another recommendation. there.
Giving the CEO time to read it.
Can I
before
just ask a
responding.
question then, since we're standing on being suspended? There is subtle differences between the tracked version and the clean version. Can whoever put forward the motion for the clean version suggest why they've made those changes?
Referring to.
The clean version is the one.
Yeah, so,
So without the lines in it.
yeah, is that literally
in
this
This is
only
it's
difference?
without
One version, with
Uh-huh.
another version with that.
this is this.
Okay, I see.
Without that, okay.
Clear on that? Both the same, one's just tracked, one's not.
And that alternative recommendation is it replacing one of these points or just clarifying what that actually means?
So CEO, you had a chance to read that?
I'm in process reading, it's quite a long resolution. I'm
My
just thinking of the
understanding was we're
detail.
just making it more clearer that the vision was adopted last meeting and that is the only difference. That's my understanding of what this motion is about. So I don't have any hesitation in going with the motion
Yeah.
based on that.
What I'm trying to avoid is creating confusion that the new motion today replaces the February motion, and it doesn't replace it, it clarifies it. And I think that, I just printed out February motion, would you like to print it?
I've got it in front of me in
No,
2
I've
minutes.
got it.
It's right there in the minutes. Basically, today's motion covers point 2 of February motion. It doesn't talk about our community engagement policy and about community feedback.
Maybe you should add that into it to make it consistent with
That
the
motion's
last
still
motion.
there.
So this is, the way I interpreted this, Councillor Quilty, is this is an add-on to the resolution that was adopted at the last council meeting. So it doesn't replace.
Yes.
Well, it can't, because you've got to
No.
rescind
It
it.
is,
It's
yeah.
just got to
We
it's
can't-
to clarify that the vision was in fact adopted because it was unclear.
Because there was confusion about adopting the vision. Yes, I'm happy to do that. I just want to create another point of confusion where we didn't talk about community feedback on the draft and our community engagement policy.
Before you create that point of potential confusion, if we could have the CEO respond to your first question.
No, that was the question.
All right, sorry.
Yes, so through the Mayor, Councillor Quilty, my view is that this, the intent of what I prepared was in relation to the whole motion that was passed in February. If you narrow the motion, I don't have time to clarify that that won't cause an alternative problem. So my recommendation is you stick with leaving your components out. You're welcome to do whatever you want. But my recommendation is that I've thought through with time what I've suggested. A last minute modification to that, I don't have the time to work through what the implications might be to that. There is no intent difference that I can see, so I can't see anything arising from that would cause you any pain. And that's where I'll rest at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the response, and the question was asked last minute. Would it be any better if we said that council resolution at the meeting, we added the words not replacing but clarifying? The 24th sort of pointed out in the alternative recommendation somewhere that it's not being replaced but being clarified.
If I may,
Just the words not
through the
replacing.
It does say clarifies, so
We did use the
It doesn't say that it doesn't replace. I would like to add something that says that it does not replace the February motion.
I can't see an issue with that. Yes.
Okay, so move and seconder.
How would you like to do it?
I'm happy to adjust it.
Can we just be clear about what those words are? The council,
The council
Clarify.
clarifies and does not replace the adoption as follows.
Yes, clarifies,
Sorry.
but does not replace the adoption as
Oh,
follows.
well, I would have to rescind my offer to move the motion because the report, it does. It says, the purpose of this report is to rescind the resolution from the council meeting.
Yeah, that's
And
not
No,
the
no,
motion.
that's not the motion.
No, that's
not the
That's
motion.
the old one.
That was the old
Sorry,
one.
I'm looking at the council agenda.
Yeah, the yellow one.
No,
That's-
but I'm looking at the report for
report.
determination.
Yeah.
And the purpose of the report, as it reads, the purpose of the report is to, one, rescind the resolution from the council meeting of February 24-25.
But we can't rescind
It's
it
been
because it's been
acted
acted upon.
Because time lapsed
Well,
and it's
sorry,
been
there's-
acted upon.
You know, these are the
You-
problems of coming to these things in, in a rush, and I think that's, the wording was resolved, and it says to eliminate the risk, it is recommended that council firstly rescind the February 24-25 resolution, and secondly, resolve to adopt the Wodonga 2050 vision and Wodonga community vision feedback reports for stages 2 to 5, and the recommendation supports that, the report.
We did discuss this report last briefing, not the briefing today, but last Monday briefing, and we did discuss the
decision.
rescission being impossible at this stage. So the discussion was had a week ago, and we were given at the start of this briefing, we were given alternative motion. We had I had problems with some words in this motion. It was those words were taken out, but I decided that we need to clarify again. So it's not in a rush. It's ironing out any unclarities, but not changing the essence of the alternative recommendation. The rescission has been discussed. Has been discussed for a week.
Councillor Aldridge.
I think probably the most important thing to come out of this discussion is that we really do need to get this community vision adopted. So what do we need to do to make this happen tonight?
Well, I'll just for one say you can't rescind it because it's already been acted on. Anything that, and it's usually done. If a rescission's going to be done, it's got to be around within 24 hours. All that hasn't been acted on, and it has been acted on in our council plan. So we can't rescind that last. Well, not for at least 3 months, but even then, I think there's issues with it. So the whole idea, and we did discuss that in the last briefing. So the whole idea is now just to adopt. Use the word adopt because that was the issue with the last clarification that needed to be had.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Cowan.
Oh, I agree that we have discussed this, and I think that we did seek that information. So just again through you, Mr Mayor, to the CEO, can you confirm for us, CEO, that if we go ahead with this, that we are following the correct process in respect to adopting this?
So, through Mr Mayor to Councillor Cowan, my preference is, following the discussion with councillors, that it's not a rescind, and I have provided an alternative motion, which is down in writing that I've provided to all councillors, and that original wording in the alternative motion is my preferred option at this point in time. Given the discussion we had about rescind, and as has been raised by many councillors about the implementation of components of that the rescind is not possible, and hence the alternative motion was drafted. So I very clearly have given you some wordings there, and it's my preference to recommend sticking with those wording, but it's your choice from here, councillors.
Did Councillor Cowan second? Councillor-
Yes, Councillor Cowan seconded it.
But
We're
did
still-
Councillor Cowan second it in the belief that it was different?
No, I seconded in the belief that I've accepted the recommendation as stated.
without amendments,
Yeah.
without the amendment of adding and does not replace.
No, just the one that said rescind, that sort of clarifies.
Okay.
No, sorry, I've accepted the alternate recommendation that you read out.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I may just clarify process, the motion that was put up by Councillor Knight, seconded by Councillor Cowan, can only be amended if they agree, and the seconder has disagreed, and therefore there's no change. As you proposed, it's as per the yellow sheet, your change was not accepted by the seconder, and now we're still in suspended standing orders, but
And if I can just confirm, Councillor Cowan, is that still the case?
Oh, yes,
With that clarification.
because I'm taking the advice of the CEO
Yeah, okay.
with respect to the timing and the,
Someone else could second it.
You don't
so
you
you
don't
have
feel
to
it.
vote on the motion, I imagine.
You read it out without that.
Yeah.
So that's what's
you're,
being seconded.
you don't want to add that we're not replacing it. You don't want to clarify that situation.
So, CEO has just clarified you can't have another seconder. If there are no other questions or comments, we can reinstate standing orders and go back to the motion and vote on it. And then if it doesn't get up, we have an
I was just asking Councillor Cowan, because this is to clarify, the clarification, to be quite honest, is that the council clarifies, not replaces the adoption as follows. So we're adding it to it, not.
Yes,
Not
I accept,
replacing.
I accept the intention, but I'm still going with the concern and the
Without that.
recommendation from the CEO.
You don't think it will confuse anyone?
Can I just ask the CEO?
Because it's still there. They'll still both be there. Because we're not rescinding anything. That's my question.
Can you withdraw your motion?
Councillor Aldridge?
Can I just ask a question to the CEO? Do you see any problem with adding the word "and does not replace" into your alternative recommendation?
as I've said previously, this is a last minute change. I've had time to consider what's on writing here, not the additional words. And I can't give you an ironclad guarantee that those additional few words won't cause us some other issues.
So do you believe we would be safer to not add those words?
That would
given
be my
Really
recommendation.
don't make that much difference anyway? Yeah, okay.
And that's what Josh has moved anyway.
Yeah, so that's what Josh has moved, yeah.
Any other further questions or comments? We're happy to reinstate standing orders. Standing orders reinstated. We have a motion as,
Did you have a mover?
we had a mover
No,
to reinstate. All those in favour?
So who moved?
Who moved?
Second.
Councillor Seymour moved and it's unanimous.
I'll withdraw my motion.
So Councillor Knight withdraws his motion as recommended here.
Sorry, Mr Mayor.
I'd like to move an alternative motion.
Sorry?
I would like to move an alternative.
Councillor Quilty?
Sorry,
Hold-
Mr Mayor.
just hold on. What's the issue?
Do you want to go?
Alright, so Councillor Cowan to approve the,
No, sorry, I stand with the motion that I seconded.
so the status then is we have a motion that we then need to put to a vote. So we're very clear on that? So that being the case, the original motion provided by Councillor Knight, all those in favour? Although, so that's Councillor Seymour, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Global. All those against? Councillor Knight, Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall. That is carried. Thank you very much. Which now leads us to 9.2, which is the councillor interaction with developers, lobbyists and submitters. We have a recommendation there before us. Do we have a mover? Councillor Cowan, a seconder. Councillor Cowan moved. 9.2. We have a seconder for that. Councillor Aldridge. Councillor Cowan, would you like to speak to him?
Thank you. Yes, this is the recommendation that the draft councillor interaction with developers, lobbyists and submitters policy be placed on public exhibition for at least 21 days in accordance with Council's community engagement policy and a report on the public consultation to be submitted to a future council meeting. So I would just like to say I welcome this draft policy as another very clear demonstration of the commitment of this council to exhibiting the highest standards of integrity and transparency in relation to our interaction with developers or lobbyists or people who might make a submission on land use planning. So I thoroughly commend this policy to the community and welcome your feedback on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Councillor Aldridge, would you like to speak
Nothing
to it?
further to add, Councillor Cowan covered everything.
Right. Any other councillors like to speak to it? Councillor Hall.
Yeah, look, this is to go out to a public exhibition for feedback, so hopefully we'll get some back. I think it's a policy that probably need to have around, interactions between lobbyists and developers and submitters. As councillors, we need to be accountable and transparent, and this document will help provide some of that transparency. And especially in the light of some councils, like the Casey Council, which had many issues around developer problems with councillors, and so I think having some accountability and a document around how councillors deal with those interactions is probably a good way to go.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillors? Councillor Courtney, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to reiterate that we welcome community feedback on it. The policy outlines briefly but clearly our main principles in interacting with the developers, with submitters, with lobbyists who contact us. The policy is only 4 pages and a bit, so respectfully request the community to read it and provide their feedback within 21 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. There are no other questions or comments, so I'd like to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. 9.3 is the review of instruments of delegation, a bit of a monster report, over 400 pages, but I understand most of the changes are either a reflection to changes in legislation or current organisational structures, plus this document does come up every 12 months. There's a recommendation before us. Could I have a mover for that?
I'm happy to move it, considering the length of the recommendation, which I will assume need to be read out.
I think we have a copy of it, so I'm not sure it needs to be read out.
Needs to be read
Councillor
out.
Aldridge.
Is it a really good reader?
I know.
I just saw it, so I'm happy to take one for the team here and
No,
read out
it's
this massive recommendation.
Not required, given that
But if
it's
it's
been
not,
provided.
I'm still happy to move it because, yeah.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Cowan. Any?
I just have a question.
Yes.
Thank you. Page 234. I'll just go there because I noted in the report there are no legislative changes required to this instrument. There is one minor change with section 116, subsection 1 of the Local Government Act 2020 now listed as not delegated, having previously been omitted due to an admin error. Just on to page 234, I noted that is actually in there, and I'm just wondering, am I reading that correctly, or?
Page 234. Is your question to the CEO?
Yes, it is to the CEO. It's so the writing is in red. Section 116. Subsection 1 is actually in there as being delegated to the CEO.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't read it, so it's-
Yeah, just looking at which section.
Yeah.
you like to add to this?
So page 234. So those are things that are not delegated to the CEO.
Okay,
So they're the exclusions. So that wasn't previously there
okay,
by error.
yeah,
It's now been incorporated into that. So the list that you see in the S5, the last 8 pages, are things that the council has retained.
all right, that wasn't really clear to me in the report. Can you point to me where it says that these are items not delegated?
I think you'll see that at I'm just going to try and find the...
Page 214, it describes the S5.
This is under the heading of S6.
S5.
It's an S5.
Oh yeah, S5, beg your pardon. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not,
Need a second still.
I thought Councillor Cowan seconded and also asked a question.
Speak to
You
the
can speak to it.
motion? Yeah. So the different instruments of delegation have been updated to take account of recent legislative changes. It's recommended that we take on these motions as it reflects these recent changes and the current organisational structure.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge, and sorry about that, I thought you waived your, said you weren't interested in speaking to it specifically, so apologies for my assumption there, misunderstanding. So we've got a mover and a seconder, no other questions from councillors? Do you want to speak at all?
No, thank you.
All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Which now leads us to 9.4, the 2025 National General Assembly of Local Government. We have a recommendation there before us regarding attendance to that forum at Parliament. We also have an alternative recommendation. Sorry, I beg your pardon. So, yeah. Could we have a mover for that?
Alternative,
Alternative?
an alternative.
Okay.
I would like to move that the Mayor Councillor Gobble and the Deputy Mayor Councillor Crown represent Wodonga Council at the 2025 National General Assembly, and then it goes on as per the report.
So just to be
So
clear.
I'm taking out +1 as a councillor.
Right. So you're removing the third councillor?
Yeah.
Councillor Seymour from... Good.
Not necessarily Councillor Seymour, I'm not talking about Councillor Seymour in the recommendation.
Right.
Sorry, would it be better to recommend that, because it's actually dated,
Could
don't worry
be.
about my question, I was going to say to not name any name. It's actually dated, so it doesn't matter. What's it?
There's no names.
No, it's
There's no-
just Councillor Cowan, go.
The mayor's just mentioned, yeah.
Could I have a seconder? Councillor Hall. So it's Councillor Quilty mover, Councillor Hall seconder. Councillor Quilty, did you want to speak to the
Yes,
motion?
please.
Thank you.
Look, this is a really big conference at national level where representatives of all municipal governments and local councils gather from all the states that there are in Australia, and it's a very big event. It's a long event. It goes for several days. From this year is from 24th of June to 27th of June. In the previous term, in my third year of the previous term, I had the privilege of attending it along with then Councillor Chamberlain and Mayor Mildred. The undertaking is very expensive and very time consuming. It is not without benefit, but to me, the benefit that I received from it was mainly networking, and that networking was done mainly with neighbouring councillors or councillors more or less close to us, not councillors from like Northern Territory or Western Australia. There are a lot of networking opportunities. It's a big event. There are stalls and presentations from various commercial enterprises and a lot of interesting things. However, I think that in the interest of saving ratepayers' money and in the interest and given that there is no pressing urgency, from my point of view, pressing urgency in training or development of a councillor, we limited 2 councillors a year. And this year it could be, given that we have a lot of new councillors, this year it could be mayor and deputy mayor, and next year it could be the mayor of the day and another councillor, and so on. I can tell you that I'm unlikely to want to attend this forum in this term, but I believe limiting it to, I think in the 4th year of previous council term, we only had mayor and CEO attending, am I correct? And that was sufficient, but given the amount of new councillors this council term, I'm happy to, for this year, to suggest to limit it to 2 and then sort of rotate it amongst the other councillors who have an interest in the mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Corley. Councillor Hall as seconder.
Yes, I'm with the same view. Look, I've been once in my whole 8 years or over 8 years of council. I would think twice about going again. You know, really opportunities, like Councillor Corley said. Look, it's more for the mayor, I think, of the day and possibly the CEO, but it is a big expense, and I think, you know, with the cost of living and issues coming on that have been highlighted with the community and just everyone in general, you know, I think we need to be looking at, like we, you know, prudent with their money. It's their money, it's the ratepayers' money, and I think what Councillor Cowan suggested, that we have enough years to say one council, the mayor and one councillor each year. I don't have any intentions of going again, so there'd be enough years to follow for a new councillor to go, and I think that's being responsible with ratepayers' money.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Any other councillors like to speak to Councillor Cowan?
Oh, just in the event that the motion is not carried, I'd like to foreshadow an alternate motion. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Knight.
Do we, and nothing against Deputy Mayor Cowan or anything on those lines, but would it be better to write maybe that, you know, Mayor Goble and one other councillor rather than actually name Deputy Mayor?
Well, it's in there.
Yeah, I know that's in that one as well, but what I'm saying is,
You
and I'm not knowing.
I'm happy to, if the second agrees, I'm happy to say
Councillor Cowan may have other,
and one other councillor, and
or she may be willing to swap out with somebody. That was the case.
Just before we go there, just before we do, I know the CEO is keen to speak to this regarding highlighting some issues.
Councillors, whoever you decide to go along to this, I need their names. We've got to complete a registration process, we've got to make a whole lot of bookings, so, and given you've got every council in Australia attending, it very quickly runs out of places, accommodation runs out, so we need to get onto that very quickly, and I will need a name of whoever that is.
It's a leap of what happened.
before the end of this meeting.
Or wouldn't that be selected? Can be chosen out. I'm only ad-libbing, but wouldn't maybe Councillor Cowan I'll go next year. Councillor Aldridge can go this year. Councillor Knight can go this year. Whatever. I didn't want to sort of lock in anybody to apart from the mayor.
If I may again, sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. It needs to be definitive. So you've got a council resolution. If the council resolution doesn't specify the person, you need another council resolution to specify the person, because otherwise you're coming to an agreement and making a decision outside a forum.
Sorry, that's my misunderstanding.
May I quickly suspend standing orders then?
Going to move it for suspending standing orders. All those in favour? That's Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall, Councillor Goble, Councillor Knight. Those against? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Seymour and Councillor Aldridge. That's carried.
Thank you.
Standing order suspended.
Councillor Cowan, I have a question for you. If my alternative motion is carried, are you willing to go to this event, or would you rather not have your name listed in the recommendation, in the alternative motion?
I'm very keen to attend.
That's all I wanted to ask. I asked to suspend standing orders in case council account said, oh no, I don't want to go, and then I would ask, okay, who wants to go, and they would say yeah, and that was the whole point. I moved to return to the standing orders.
Right, all those in favour of returning to standing orders? That is unanimous, thank you, that's carried. So, am I clear in understanding we've got a recommendation there that the Mayor, Councillor Goble, and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Cowan, represent Wodonga Council at the 2025 National Assembly of Local Government. Are there any other questions or comments in relation to that particular motion? Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. I appreciate the commentary from both Councillors Quilty and Hall, and understand that the motivation is about cost savings, and I really do respect that. However, I also see great value in councillors attending these particular events. I think they actually are, they do raise the level of professionalism, and I think there are really strong benefits back to our community from raising that level of professionalism. So for that reason, I'm very keen to see as many members of our council attend as many opportunities like these, particularly at this national level. I think it is an extraordinary opportunity to learn from our fellow councillors, and the networking is extraordinarily valuable. So I'm very much in favour of increasing really our opportunities to attend these events, and the professional development I see we get from it is pays itself in our level of professionalism, and turned into good decision making for our community. So that's why I won't be supporting the motion.
Thank you. Before I go back to Councillor Quilty as the mover, are there any other councillors who have not spoken to this that would like to? No? So returning to you, Councillor Quilty, as the mover.
Thank you, and thank you, Councillor Cowan, for your comments. I would like to remind that when speaking to my alternative motion, I mentioned not only cost saving, but also limited benefit for the in terms of professional development of this particular event. The event is big and it's interesting, and for those who have time and are less conscious about spending community ratepayers' money, it's a great thing to do. However, I believe, based on my personal experience and based on what other councillors from previous terms said about this event, I think that any opportunity for professional development will be amply covered by, no doubt, excellent reports that the mayor and deputy mayor will bring to the rest of the council when they return. And the CEO too. When I attended last term, I observed the CEO making very detailed notes all through the day while I was sitting there relaxing. And the report back to council was comprehensive and very sufficient in terms of professional development. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. I'm now going to put it to a vote. So all those in favour of the alternative motion put by Councillor Quilty and seconded by Councillor Hall, all those in favour? That's Councillor Quilty, Councillor Hall, Councillor Knight, Councillor Goble. All those against? Councillor Seymour, Councillor Aldridge, Councillor Cowan. It's carried. Thank you. Item 9.5 is the motion to the 2025 National General Assembly of Local Government. There's a recommendation there before us. And there's also an alternative motion that's been provided. Someone like to move the motion? So, Councillor Hall.
I'll move the recommended motion that's in the report.
Thank you also.
Okay, it's moved by Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor Cowan. Councillor Hall, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I think putting forward the motion in the recommendation in this report is a good idea. The motion will hopefully get promoted and highlighted to a huge audience, which it will do, of local government representatives and ministers. Our state governments, especially our in our regions, current situation of regional community health and hospital is being extremely lacking, and we need to get on the front foot and try and push for some more funding, and this is a way of getting the federal funding that I think we will need going forward. It's really concerning that our local government representatives have to virtually beg to get the health services and future-proof hospital infrastructure that is needed to provide for growing regional cities and towns. This motion will go some way to find avenues to provide better health outcomes for our regional area if it gets up and is promoted and is accepted by the ministers. I think it's got a lot of opportunities to for regional areas to get the health services and infrastructure that we need. Sorry. Sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Cowan.
Thank you. I think I've seconded a motion. Could I call for a suspension of standing order
Yes.
so we could please
So,
discuss an alternative?
so all those in favour of suspending standing orders? I think I understand what you've done there. Yeah. So that's unanimous and carried. Councillor Cowan.
Sorry, I think when I heard Councillor Hall say she was going to move the motion, and you had said there's an alternative recommendation, I was led to believe that Councillor Hall was going to read the alternate recommendation. So I unfortunately seconded the motion before I realised that she was referring to the recommendation in the report. So apologies for that, Councillor Hall. So I'm not sure, but through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm suggesting that I wasn't intending to second that motion. I was actually believing that the motion was referring to the alternate recommendation. I'm seeking some advice from the CEO.
Same as the ruling before you seconded it, the action actually happened. Understand why it's a mistake, but it has to have the mover to withdraw that.
Okay.
So it's up to Councillor Hall.
Are we in suspended standing orders?
Yes,
What's the rationale behind this new alternative motion?
CEO, if you could explain the rationale of the alternate.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in relation to the alternate that was provided, it gives clarity that we're submitting the motion to the National General Assembly in one, and in two, it's authorising me to submit it as a CEO and also develop the rationale out of the report. So the rulings around the General Assembly require those specific components to the resolution, and my apologies that we forgot to add that into the content of the report. Doesn't change the intent, the motion is exactly the same. It's just a process matter to make sure that our motion isn't refused when it goes up to the Assembly.
See, that wasn't discussed at the briefing, so that's why I wasn't aware of the alternative motion.
Correct.
I agree.
Yeah, so I had no idea that was on the back of a piece of paper.
So you sorry,
So let's just strike everything and start again.
CEO.
So the mover and the seconder could agree to amend that. And have
I'll
one
agree
and
to the
two.
amendment on that.
Right.
And on that basis, I'll agree to seconding the motion.
No, we're going to reinstate standing orders, so if I could have a mover for that. Thanks, Councillor Knight. All those in favour? Standing orders reinstated unanimously, thank you. So as I understand it, we've got the mover and the seconder who retract the original motion. Could I have a mover for an alternate motion? Councillor Aldridge?
Move that
That's not correct.
Do we need to vote on it?
No, all you're doing is adding,
Move and
changing it
second
to,
continue with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because we agreed to the
They
change.
agreed
Okay.
to changing, but
Right.
they moved it.
That's
So,
fine.
Councillor Hall, if you could speak to that change, just so everyone's clear.
Well, it's really going to be much the same thing. All the change is doing is authorising the CEO to submit a rationale and makes put the motion together so it can be submitted at the Assembly.
Right.
As per the opinion,
Oh,
no one has it, so.
Yeah, do you mind reading it?
The whole one?
Yeah.
Okay. The alternative recommended is that I've moved and Councillor Cowan has seconded is one, that the council submit the following motion for consideration at the National General Assembly of Local Government. A, this National General Assembly calls on the Australian Government to make dedicated funding available to the states for regional hospital infrastructure through a National Hospital Infrastructure Fund allocated on the basis of priority needs. And two, that the council authorises the CEO to submit the rationale and make any minor administrative amendments to the motion.
Right. Thank you for reading that out. So we're clear about what we're voting on now. Can take it to a vote.
Can I speak to the motion?
You can speak to the motion, Councillor Cowan, Councillor Hall as the mover, would you like to speak to it first?
No, look, basically what I said in my last comments about the motion, it's very similar. All this is really this new alternative recommendation. It's just adding the council authorise the CEO to submit the rationale. But I still am with the view that putting something up at the Assembly is a great idea. It's got a massive audience there and hopefully get this highlighted and get other, especially regional councils on board, because there is a lack of funding in regional areas, especially for hospital infrastructure and health. And anything we can do to get this highlighted and in the national realm is a great thing for us to do as a council in our advocacy going forward. So, yeah, I fully support that.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Cowan as the seconder.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hall, for moving this motion. The National General Assembly would hopefully call on the Australian Government to dedicate funding for state regional hospitals through a National Hospital Infrastructure Fund. And there are 7 million Australians living in rural and remote Australia. Research just released this month indicates that $850 is spent per year on regional and remote Australians for their health. This is much less than urban populations, and yet we are at substantially higher levels of preventable hospitalisations, greater burden of disease, and far more avoidable deaths. About this time last year, we also heard that kidney patients relying on dialysis here and having to travel longer distance were opting for a certain death over not being able to access dialysis beds in this region. And despite the overwhelming evidence of need in Wodonga, we're hearing that our hospital infrastructure needs are not going to be met. There's cost-cutting, scope reviewing, shelling, revised models of care, whatever you want to call it. Whatever excuse is being made, it will mean our regional patients will still face significant shortfalls in healthcare. And why is that? It's because we are going to be delivered an inadequate hospital, a half-baked redevelopment proposal, an ED currently that barely meets our needs. We will not have a helipad, we will not have a hydrotherapy pool, our paediatrics will remain on an old campus footprint while it's merely a shell in the new building. Diagnostic services will be scaled back. Maternity and special care for our growing population will remain the same. Our ICU will only have 12 beds, the same. For a population exceeding 300,000, this is unthinkable, and this is why this motion deserves our support for the special needs of evidence-based needs in regional and rural Australia.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Aldridge?
I just want to add that there continues to be overwhelming community sentiment that we need to be doing all we can as a local council to be supporting our ailing health systems, and I believe this recommendation helps support that.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Corty?
Thank you. Thank you very much for to mover and seconder for their speeches, additional research, and voicing the figures that are nothing but terrible in terms of our state of healthcare. I very much support appealing to all levels of government that we possibly can to improve the situation with regional healthcare. We were dismissed in a very upsetting way by our own state government, and therefore we need to look for friends wherever we possibly can. We owe it to the residents of our region and neighboring regions, and I'm very happy to. I think the Australian federal government has a very big role to play in this, and given the upcoming federal election, I'm even more hopeful. So let's do whatever else we can after we were basically said no by our own state government. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? If not, I'd like to also make a comment. So this draft has been provided to the council, the Alliance of 13 councils, to share amongst their councils, to put to their council groups to resolve to support this. So tonight, Albury's got the same or very similar motion to put to their council, hopefully for adoption, along with some other of our local councils over the coming days. Yeah. Good. Councillor Hall, did you want to spend any final?
I'm happy for it to go to.
Great. So if there are no other councillors, if you could put the motion to a vote, all those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. This now leads us to 9.6, which is Invest Albury Wodonga. We have a report before us with a series of options.
Also an alternative. Just
An alternative motion being provided by the CEO. It's not like to move on it.
Can I vote to suspend standing order so we can?
We need a motion on this.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, make sure it's
No?
the right.
Okay. Then I'm just going to sit back and say nothing until someone else does.
So, anyone brave enough to move a motion there, the alternate?
I'm happy to move it.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty.
Which one?
So I'm assuming that's an alternate to option 6.
I suggest that I read it out to avoid any
Yes,
misunderstandings.
that's a good idea.
And before it's seconded. So the alternative that I would like to move is that council approve the attached document amended to form a 1-year IAW partnership agreement with Albury City, and IAY stands for Invest Albury Wodonga, and that the CEO be authorized to sign. 2. Continue the existing budget allocation of $25,000 excluding GST to Invest Albury Wodonga for financial year 2025-2026 and report back to Council on achievements and benefits of the partnership extension by April 2026. Noting that subject to that report, Council may elect to extend the partnership and allocate higher resources. 3. Not approve a 20,000 allocation to Live Albury Wodonga for financial year 2025-26. 4. Endorse the Two Cities One Community collaborative work with Albury City and invest staff time to align the management of Invest Albury Wodonga to a similar level as the Albury Wodonga Tourism Partnership Agreement, and evaluate the progress ahead of the 2026-27 financial year budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Having read that, do we have a seconder? Councillor Cowan. Councillor Cowan, would you like to speak to it? Oh, sorry, Councillor Quilty, sorry. With all that, I'm just sorry. Would you like to speak to it first, Councillor Quilty?
Do you want to suspend standing orders actually? Happy to go straight into
You still
suspension.
want to do that? Okay, so we've got a mover from Councillor Aldridge to suspend standing orders. All those in favour?
Do you need a second?
No, not for a proceeding. That's carried unanimously.
My question's mainly to the CEO. I just want to know why there's been an alternative made to option 6 where I can't see any great difference between the two? Are you able to highlight what the main difference is?
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Through the Mayor, it's clarifying about reporting back to the Council on achievements of the benefits of the partnership prior to April 2026. So those words in section 2 are clearly the difference there.
And number 3 is not approved.
Two the
And
same.
it's the same.
Same as
No,
No, there's not.
It doesn't say, in 2 it doesn't say April.
Oh, you've added a date. Ah,
I'm clear on that,
yeah,
Councillor Aldridge?
yeah.
Any other questions
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
or comments?
You know you can ask a question without having to suspend standing
Well, I
orders.
asked and he said I couldn't.
You have to have a motion.
You have to have a
Yeah,
motion.
I have a motion
Okay.
before you ask.
That's just to let you know in future.
Okay.
So is there an appetite to reinstate standing orders? For that, Councillor Knight, all those in favour, that's carried unanimously, standing orders back in place. Councillor Quilty, as the mover, would you like to speak to the item?
Just briefly, the report that was given to us originally called for 60,000 towards the Invest Albury Wodonga partnership. We have a site which advertises our assets that is run mainly by Albury Council, and we contribute some that advertises our assets that we call investment info, and we have been contributing 25,000 excluding GST annually. The request has been for us to allocate 60,000 and also 20,000 on top of that for a separate related project. When querying the staff who specialize in this area, what benefits have we been getting from the partnership and what value for money we received from the partnership, we were told that we don't have such figures and that we don't really have quantitative or qualitative reports on the benefits of this partnership and the value for the money we provide. So the decision that we are looking at making in this alternative option is to continue with the budget that we previously have of 25,000 and call for a report of benefits and achievements that we actually get from our investment. We might find that it's very beneficial and that further investment might be even more beneficial, or we might not. And we put the date as April 2026 as a reasonable date before the end of the financial year for us to, and before the expiration of this annual agreement to give us sufficient time to make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Quilty. Councillor Cowan, as the Secretary, would you like to speak to
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to add to what Councillor Quilty said, I think they're very much relying on the representation of value for money from this, and any future decision would be contingent upon understanding that.
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Any other, Councillor Aldridge?
Yeah, just a comment as well. Like, I understand that this wasn't the recommended option from officers, but I think it's important that Wodonga ratepayers are able to see some kind of tangible result from these partnerships, and we do need to make sure that we're spending the money appropriately.
Thank you, Councillor Aldridge. Any other comments or questions?
I'd like to add, I agree with Councillor Aldridge. Look, you know, we as a council we have to be accountable to the ratepayer, and if we haven't got the information provided that gives us some tangible evidence that or information that we need to continue this agreement, then we're not being responsible. So I think just the request is just a responsible expectation. I think the community would expect us to do. So hopefully it's a positive report, and we can move forward if there is some good information provided.
Good. Any other comments? Right. Councillor Quilty, you're good not to, right of reply here?
Nothing further.
No. Good, thank you. If that's the case, I'll put it to a vote. All those in favour of the alternate to option 6? It's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. So, where are we now? Item 10, reports related. There are none. Agenda item 11, reports for information. 11.1, record of council meetings, again for information only. Any questions or comments? No. 11.2, the decision register. For information only, any comments or questions? No. Sorry, bear with me. 11.3, Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes, February 2025. Any questions or comments there? No?
And it's up pretty
Yeah.
self-explanatory.
Which now leads us to agenda item 12. Notices of motion, there are none. General business, agenda item 13. I'd just like to highlight a couple of things. It's been an eventful couple of weeks with a number of community events. Ignite with the Cube last week, but also this weekend with Border Harmony Day and the Holy Festival celebration at Willow Park, an incredible community event. And also the ALWS 75 year celebration at Wodonga on Saturday morning. 2 weeks ago, we had a Wodonga citizen, Bakata Bahadur, otherwise known as Durga. He's a graduate of La Trobe University, Albury Wodonga campus, who won an incredible award as an Alumni of the Year, Young Alumni of the Year. He did a nursing degree at La Trobe University. He's also, I think, the recipient of Young Victorian Year Award. An amazing individual with an incredible family. Just wanting to highlight that and celebrate that award of Durga's. And also just a note, former councillor that some of us may know, John Marnie, was a councillor, I think, from 2004 to 2008. He and his wife Diana are leaving Wodonga to go to Melbourne. And I just wanted to acknowledge John's contribution as one of the Marnies with the news agency. You know, everyone knows the Marnies. John's an incredible individual, very good friend of mine, and we wish him and Diane all the best and thank him and his family for their incredible contribution to Wodonga over decades.
And we hope that they get much better healthcare in Melbourne.
Yes, yeah. Councillor Cowan, would you like
Thank
to?
you. Yes, I do have something for general business.
Yeah.
So I really would like to extend my heartfelt thanks, and I think thanks generally from the council to the community for turning up with us to the steps of Spring Street to make our case, to make our voices heard for a call for a better hospital. We were accompanied by doctors, nurses, allied health professionals, mums, dads, grandmas, grandpas, and we were amongst mayors, deputy mayors and councillors from around the region. And I think it was said to me by another mayor, it's not normal for councillors to turn up to the steps of Parliament House. It's not normal to have to make our voices heard this way. We do sincerely hope there's still room at that table with the state government to have this conversation in a respectful and solution-focused way. But I really am so very proud of our community for the dedication to this cause. It is unrelenting. This has been a very, very long battle, and it isn't over yet, and the sentiment is still extremely high. But our community are just fabulous, and I I can't be prouder of the effort that they made.
If I could add to that, walking up Collins Street, a number of us, and seeing our community there on the steps of Parliament at Spring Street was just so heartwarming to see so many people there. It was such a positive rally, an incredible day, significant dedication from our community in what was a big day, early morning start on the train or driving down 8-hour round trip, excluding the rally itself. But also just acknowledging our local state member, Bill Tilley, who coordinated a number of meetings for us with the opposition, both Liberal and Nats. I'd like to also acknowledge our council and our media team for their support, along with Indigo in particular, who were able to stream the event live to our community, many who wanted to be there but couldn't be due to work commitments or family commitments. And I think, without that resource and that commitment on the day, it would have been a lesser event. So, thanks to Alex and the team, and to the team at Indigo, the two Mels, for resourcing the coverage of that event. And I think it'd be remiss to not mention very quickly so many in our community did say we would love to be there, but we can't. Can we have a local rally? And so we've got a rally on the 29th at QE2 Square, being led by Albury Council. I think there's going to be many, many hundreds there on Saturday. Again, a number of speakers, doctors, nurses, patients who've got stories to tell about their experience and why we need a new hospital on a new site.
And wear a white shirt.
Wear a white shirt, yeah.
Can I just add something too?
Yes, Councillor.
And not to the hospital. I really appreciate the words that have beautifully set it up. But just a community member that passed last week, Alan Beneda.
Oh.
I had the privilege of having a relationship with him, being that he was very much gave a lot of feedback to councillors over where we positioned ourselves and decisions that we made. He was I think a founding member of the original Ratepayers Association, to which I was a member of as well, and a committee member with them. He was a real contributor to the community, and it was really sad. I was almost shocked to hear of his passing. He always seemed like a young, vibrant man, but yeah, obviously he had some health issues or whatever, and it will be a sad passing because he was a real. He was known to a lot of the people in the community, and a lovely man. So, condolences to his family.
Thank you. Any other general business?
Just something to add about our own mayor. Mayor Goble, you've been elected to the MAD board for the Goulburn Ovens Murray region.
Yep.
So just want to pass on my congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So, even more work than I anticipated involved in that. Thank you. Which, if there's no other general business, leading to agenda item 14, urgent business, there is none. Which now leads us to confidential business, and I'd like to provide a recommendation that the meeting be closed to members of the public in order to consider matters pursuant to Section 3, Subsection 1 of the Local Government Act 2020. And the meeting be adjourned for 2 minutes to allow the public to leave the chamber. I've got a mover for that. Thank Councillor Knight, second to Councillor Aldridge. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you very much for those in the gallery and online. Back to those online, we're now at agenda item 17.2, adopt the in-camera recommendations. The recommendations of the closed meeting of the council be adopted. Could I have a mover for that? Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor Aldridge. All those in favour? That's carried, which now leads us to agenda item 17.3, the public release of information. And CEO has been delegated to read those recommendations. CEO will review.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's 5 different items to read out. So I'll start with item 15.2, proposed land sale, 26 Stanley Street, part only. And the public component of the resolution is the council, subject to a heads of agreement being entered into and generally in accordance with the key terms, Wodonga Council gives notice under section 114 of the Local Government Act 2020 that it intends to sell a portion of the land addressed as 26 Stanley Street, Wodonga, that the public notice stipulate that persons may make a submission in respect to the proposal in accordance with the Council's community engagement policy, and that written submissions must be received no later than the date, which is at least 21 days after publication of the public notice. The council receives a further report upon completion of the public consultation period to determine whether to proceed with the sale or not. And the council authorises the CEO to negotiate and enter into a heads of agreement with the purchaser or related entity for the sale of the portion of the land described as 26 Stanley Street, Wodonga. For item 15.3, proposed Middle Creek Sewer Pump Station, proposed land sale and DCP requirements. I advise the public component of the council resolution states 1, that subject to a heads of agreement being entered into and generally in accordance with the key terms set out in this report, Wodonga Council gives notice under section 114 of the Local Government Act 2020 that it intends to sell land described as attachment 1, being the proportion of lot 1 PS 616987 located adjacent to Barranduda Boulevard, Barranduda, that the public notice stipulates that persons may make a submission in respect to the proposal in accordance with the Council's community engagement policy, and that written submissions must be received no later than the date, which is at least 21 days after the publication of the public notice. The council receives a further report upon completion of the public consultation period to determine whether to proceed with the sale or not. And the council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate and enter into a heads of agreement with North East Water or related entity purchaser for the sale of the land described as attachment 1, being the proportion of lot 1 PS 616987 located adjacent to Barranduda Boulevard. In relation to 15.4, Wodonga Quarry, Gateway Island, proposed new lease and other options. The public component of the council resolution is the council considers a budget amount of at least $250,000 in the 25-26 draft budget for the appointment of consultants to undertake full due diligence on the Wodonga Quarry to recommend a preferred method of community engagement for a proposed new lease. Item 15.5, 41 to 43 Elgin Boulevard, requested further amendments to section 173 agreement. The public component of that resolution, 1, council supports and approves an amendment to the section 173 agreement registered on the title of 41 to 43 Elgin Boulevard to better facilitate the third-party purchase and development of the site. And 2, once completed, authorise the CEO to sign the amended section 173 agreement for 41 to 43 Elgin Boulevard. In relation to item 15.6, request for the removal of caveat on lot 6 McCoy Street, Wodonga. The public component of the resolution is that the council authorises the Chief Executive Officer or his delegate to commence negotiations for the withdrawal of the caveat AC 981846B from Lot 6279 McCoy Street, West Wodonga. Upon the successful conclusion of negotiations in line with the provisions listed in the confidential component of the resolution, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to remove the caveat from Lot 6279 McCoy Street, West Wodonga, and a report be presented to Council once the matter has been resolved. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, CEO. Which now leads us to 17.4, Chairperson to close the meeting. I'd like to declare the meeting closed. Time is 8:39. Thank you. Thank you everyone online.
Thank you.